Okay, so imagine if your dad was literally the mental age of a 10-year-old. Jack. Jack was released in 1996. It was written by James DeMonaco and Gary Nadeau. And it was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who is a very famous, very prolific director who did this movie. And no spoilers, but the general idea is about this boy named Jack who was born with this crazy, defect where he is aging 4 times as fast as other people, but his brain is staying the same mental age, right? Which we've seen kind of played around with a few times, but not really to the extent of Jack. And it takes place in 5th grade, where he is a 40-year-old man and a 10-year-old, well, he's a 10-year-old and a 40-year-old body. It's difficult to comprehend, but anyway, it's Robin Williams playing Jack, which is great. I mean, there's really no one else that could have done that, and I truly mean that. I don't think anyone else could do this but Robin Williams. And how do I explain this? I don't hate it. I don't. People crap on this film all the time. I've heard it. I have not seen the film, but I've heard it crapped on multiple times, so I personally wasn't excited to watch it. I was like, all right, I'm going to go into this. I'm just going to, watch a movie. I actually kind of enjoyed it. First of all, the concept, right? The concept is really cool. I mean, obviously, it's probably overused now. I don't know if there are a lot of films coming out like it, but I imagine that there probably are. This movie has an original feel to it. I don't know if it is original, but it has an original feel to it. The directing is fine. There's something spectacular. It's Francis Ford Coppola, who, in my opinion, is kind of the most basic of the big prolific directors. Like, if I watch a Spielberg film, I'm going to know it's Spielberg. If I'm going to watch a Scorsese film, I'm going to know it's Scorsese. Edgar Wright, I'm going to know it's a Wright film. This is different. I feel like Coppola is one of those people where I'm like, oh, this is a movie, and I not really know if it's got his hands all in it. And this is no different. But I like the story a whole lot. The story is really cool about acceptance and love for who you are, but also particularly don't waste the time that you have, because you're given that. That is not something that you, I take it for granted every day. I know I do. I'm 20 years old, and I'm like, one day I'll die, but for now I'm not. So it's this crazy feeling of, particularly at the end, there's this, really interesting, cool speech that Robin Williams gives as Jack that, really hurts in your feel center for a bit. I was sitting here on my bed, and I'm like, what? I wasn't ready for that. It's a fun movie, and there are a lot of deep feels to it. And this is a good movie for adults and kids, I think. I really had a lot to chew on here. There was a lot of stuff that I was introduced to that I wasn't ready to be introduced to. What would I do if I were in 5th grade and I had that body? Or what would I do if I were in 5th grade and I had a friend who was in that body? What would I do? I don't know. And there's a lot of stuff that is explored in the film, but there is some stuff that I think we could have worked more on, but it's not a movie for adults. This movie is definitely aimed towards kids, and that's fine. But there's a couple things here that I think would have really been beneficial to me if we had expanded on it, right? And one of those big things is parents. I mean, whoa, the parents have this kid who looks like a 40-year-old but is a 10-year-old going to school. They do, dive deep into that a little bit, particularly in the school area, but then there's this one basically offhand remark from the father who's like, listen, we should have another kid. And she's like, I don't think we can have another kid. And he's like, we should though. Just because he ends up having this disability does not mean we shouldn't try to have another kid and treat them both the same. And the annoying part about that is that they didn't delve deeper into that. I would have loved to have an actual 5-minute conversation between the two about what they should do about that. That's a real life problem. I mean, and this is a thing that happens for a lot of people who are born with disabilities. The parents, obviously they love them, and you can see that here in this film, but there is a sort of what do we do from here? Do we have another kid? How do we treat that kid in comparison to this kid? Obviously should be the same, but it's not going to be. It never is. And there's a lot of really interesting chewy fluff in this that just honestly I'm upset we didn't delve deeper into. I'd love to see a different version of this film, a longer cut of the film that is aimed more towards the adult side of these things, because there are a lot of things for adults and kids, but it is definitely aimed more towards kids. Bill Cosby makes an appearance as actually kind of a fun character. I actually really enjoy the character. All of the kid acting is very solid in this. There wasn't anybody that stood out as bad, so that's good. But I like I like the idea, I like the feel, I like the tone, but there are issues. Of course, we don't delve deep into anything too serious. The story is definitely handed to us. There's nothing super difficult conceptual-wise to think about, other than, like, you know, and a lot of this is coming from my own head, really. But, like, a lot of it is aimed towards kids, so it's like, yeah, he's 40, but he's also 10. And there are moments where I'm a little confused about that, just because Robin Williams, like, yeah, he can act like a kid pretty well, but then I'm like, I saw him in this other movie where he's not at all like that, and it is kind of a turnoff, and I think that maybe if we had picked an actor that wasn't a big name, it might have been better. But there was this big Disney thing with Aladdin that made them do this, but whatever, we're not getting into that, we're not talking about it. But I like the feel of it, I like the idea of it, it wasn't quite deep enough for me. There are a lot of really fun parts, like he goes to a bar and he gets kind of drunk and he goes up to his best friend's mom, who is his age, and like has these weird encounters, and I'm like, whoa, take a step back, whoa. Like, it's cool and it's fun to watch, but it's also like, whoa. And we could have had way more of that if it were, you know, aimed towards adults and if it wasn't a Disney movie, if I'm completely honest with you. But overall, I don't hate the movie. In fact, I kind of enjoy it. It's fun. I'll probably watch it again at some point, and I'm going to go ahead and give Jack a B. Have you seen Jack? Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it. It is on Disney Plus if you're interested in checking it out. Please consider subscribing, because once we get to 200, I'm going to be doing an 8-hour-long live variety show. You're not going to want to miss that, so definitely smash that subscribe button. I'm really excited to do it. I hope you guys are excited to watch it. But as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.